So today I want to kind of talk about again something about the newest Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, the official trailer or trailer 2, whatever you want to refer to it as, and kind of the moment at the end of the trailer where we see Doctor Strange, like we see kind of his spell go all about again, similar to how it did what appears to be at the beginning of the movie when he tries to erase the knowledge of Peter Parker's identity to everybody in the world. And then obviously we see some like purple streaks in the sky, and Doctor Strange says something along the lines of they're starting to break through and I can't stop them. So I kind of wanted to talk about what this potentially means, and I don't know, just kind of the way it's set up is kind of interesting. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So I mean, if we're talking about the context of the trailer, I will say straight up, in the context of the trailer, I think that scene was supposed to imply Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man coming. I think that's honestly just what it was meant to be in the trailer itself. I think it was supposed to build the hype as to their arrival. However, in the context of the movie, obviously, that wouldn't make sense because we kind of have to think about, what exactly happened in that moment. It looked like there were multiversal fissures in the sky and some type of being or beings were breaking through. Obviously, as much as we love Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, they're not multiversal level beings, so they're not going to be able to break through, multiversal fissures like that. And on a side note as well, I think that both of their Spider-Man will already be in the movie well before this potential third act fight scene that it appears to be. So I think that's what they were going for in the context of the trailer, but I obviously don't think that that's what's happening in the actual context of the movie. That's number one. Number two, I think you would have to kind of examine what's happening after No Way Home, right? So, well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the context of No Way Home. So it almost looks like it's implying that there are more Spider-Man multiversal villains that could potentially break through. But again, I would refer back to the same type of idea with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. It's like, yeah, Spider-Man has a crap ton of different villains to choose from, but none of whom I would say is on like a truly multiversal level that would be able to break through like a multiversal fissure like that. Like, that's just kind of strange. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that would be the case for Spider-Man villains either. So now I would say we can go ahead and take a look at potentially, what it means for what's happening after No Way Home, because the immediate movie, obviously not necessarily MCU content because we'll be getting Disney Plus shows in the meantime, but the immediate next movie after No Way Home is going to be in May, which is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I honestly think it's kind of hard to say because part of me wants to say that this scene is potentially teasing what's going to come in Multiverse of Madness, but I feel like the only way it could do that is if this scene was taken from like the very, very end of the movie, or if this scene was taken from like the post-credit scene. And if it was taken from the post-credit scene and stuff, I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. But if we examine in the context of Multiverse of Madness, I would say it does make sense because the biggest rumor going around there's a bunch of big rumors going around for Multiverse of Madness right now. But as far as the main villain goes for Multiverse of Madness, the biggest rumor is that it's going to be Shuma Gorath, which if you're familiar, you might already be familiar with Shuma Gorath as being the one-eyed tentacle monster from the Marvel vs. Capcom games and stuff. But in the comics, Shuma Gorath is a multiversal level being, and I honestly think this would make sense because they've been kind of teasing the reveal of Shuma Gorath for this entire time with honestly all these different types of tentacle monsters and stuff that they've just been hinting at. I mean, spoiler alert for Shang-Chi real quick. So I mean, and also spoiler alert for What If real quick. So I mean, we see in episode 1 of What If, Captain Carter is fighting back a tentacle monster that's in a different dimension. Doctor Strange absorbs part of a tentacle from a different type of monster. So we're seeing a lot of this tentacle imagery. And then obviously the third act of Shang-Chi is basically trying to push away the Dweller of Darkness, I believe it is. Which is also kind of like a Cthulhu type, that type of horror-esque tentacle monster. So there's a lot of imagery coming with this, and Shumagorath is definitely easily along those lines as well. So I think it makes sense. So honestly, that is what I could best apply to the context of this scene that we see in the trailer, where it's potentially like Shumagorath breaking through the multiversal barriers and potentially invading the at least timeline of the MCU that Doctor Strange and Peter were in there, and that it could potentially continue in Multiverse of Madness. I mean, comment with something that you might think about as to what Strange could have meant. But I mean, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. That's about all I have on that. I think it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about, but I appreciate you for watching the video.